Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to completely reframe how you think about job interviews. We're going to turn that nerve-wracking Q&A into a masterclass where you're not just a candidate, you're the product. So, let's get you hired. Okay, so let's start with a really basic question. What's a job interview really for? Most people think it's just about having the right answers to a list of questions. But honestly, if that's your mindset, you're leaving a massive opportunity on the table.
See, the real goal is to market your value. You have to think of it like a sales pitch. The interviewer isn't just checking boxes to see if you can do the job. They're looking for someone who can solve their biggest headaches and deliver real, tangible results. Your one and only job is to convince them that you are that person. And here's how we're going to do it. We're breaking this down into 5 key parts. First, we'll talk about how to absolutely nail the first 30 seconds. Then, how to prove your worth with hard numbers. We'll get into answering those tough questions with confidence. And then, how to position yourself as a leader. And finally, we'll cover how to close that interview strong. All right, let's dive into section 1, nailing the first 30 seconds. They say first impressions are everything. And in an interview, that's no joke. This is where you set the tone for the entire conversation. They want to know right away what you bring to the table. So forget rambling about your life story. Here's the formula for a power intro. It's got 3 simple parts. First, who are you professionally? Second, what is the key impact you make wherever you go, your main strength? And third, what specific value are you going to bring to this company? When you do this, you immediately sound like a results-driven professional, not just another person in a suit.
Okay, so you've hooked them with that killer intro. Now it's time to back it up, because saying I'm a hard worker is, totally forgettable. But telling them you increased efficiency by 20%, well, that's something they're going to remember.
And this right here, this is a non-negotiable rule. Leaders always attach their answers to a number. So instead of saying something vague like, "Oh, I improved things," you say, "I took PM compliance from a shaky 78% all the way up to 96%. You see the difference? One is just talk, the other is hard proof.
Now, the absolute best way to structure these number-driven stories is with something called the STAR method. It's a fantastic little framework. You just describe the situation, explain your task, detail the actions you took, and then, this is the most important part, you hit them with that measurable result. So let's take a classic interview question, one that makes a lot of people nervous. Describe a challenge you faced and how you handled it. This isn't a trick question. It's basically a wide-open invitation for you to use the STAR method and show off your problem-solving skills.
Let's walk through an example. So, the situation was, you found that PM compliance was stuck at a really low 78%, which was causing all sorts of equipment failures. Your task? Simple. You had to restructure the entire workflow to make things more reliable. So, what was your action? Well, you enforced the use of the management system, you retrained the whole team, and you started monitoring key metrics every single week to keep everyone on track.
And now for the best part, the result. Compliance skyrockets to 96%, which directly led to better equipment uptime. See? That single number, 96%, is so much more powerful than talking for 5 minutes about how you improved teamwork. It's solid, it's believable, and it is totally unforgettable. Okay, let's talk about those other questions. The ones that are designed to make you squirm a little. The secret here is to stop seeing them as threats. Instead, look at them as the perfect chance to drive home your value.
Just look at the difference here when you're asked, why should we hire you? The weak answer is this generic list of cliches that literally anybody could say. I'm a hard worker, a quick learner, right. But the strong answer, it's a powerful summary of your unique value proposition. You're connecting your skills, your technical know-how, and your leadership directly to what the company actually wants. Measurable results. You're not there to just maintain, you're there to improve.
And that leads us to this really crucial shift in thinking. Your goal is not just to prove you can do what's on the job description. It's to prove you can think beyond it. You need to position yourself as a leader, someone who's a strategic asset to the whole company. But how do you actually pull that off? How do you make sure the words you're using and the stories you're telling actually sound like a leader and not just another employee waiting for instructions? Well, you do it by weaving these 4 key messages into everything you say. Number 1, you are the technical authority. You're the expert. Number 2, you have leadership skills. You can guide a team, you can manage resources. 3,
You focus on cost and reliability improvement. You're always thinking about making the whole system better. And 4, you're a system builder. You don't just follow the process, you create and improve the processes. Every single story you tell should hit on at least one of these points.
All right, we're in the home stretch. Let's talk about closing the interview. This is your last shot to really take control and leave them with something to think about. Whatever you do, don't just sit back and let the interview fizzle out.
This is where the whole power dynamic can flip. See, most candidates ask pretty weak questions at the end, like, what's the company culture like? A leader, on the other hand, asks strategic questions, questions that prove they're already thinking about how to solve the company's problems. Here's your first power question. Asking this shows you're not afraid of a challenge. In fact, you're eager to jump in and start tackling their biggest problems from day one. It instantly frames you as a solution.
And here's your second one. This question is brilliant because it shows you're all about results and you're already aligning yourself with their business goals. You're not just thinking about getting the job, you're thinking about delivering value and doing it fast. Asking these 2 questions is an absolute power move that leaves an incredibly strong final impression.
So as you head into your next interview, just remember this. It's not a test. It's a sales meeting. Your job is to figure out the customer's pain points and present yourself as the perfect, undeniable solution. So the only question left is, are you ready to go close the deal?